Hello, and welcome to this elections video. This video will focus on tips for running an effective campaign. A key part of giving you the best chance of winning the election is to run an effective campaign. Each year during elections, candidates develop some innovative, creative and memorable ideas of how to campaign and ensure their message is getting across to voters. This guide includes some tips on how to create, develop and run the most effective campaign possible. You don't need to do everything in this guide, and you're also not limited by what's in it. However, covering most of what's here will give you the best chance possible of winning the election. We'll cover the following areas. We'll make sure you cover the campaign basics. We'll look at how you can make it memorable, some of the campaign materials you could use, how and where to campaign, and some top do's and don'ts. First, we'll look at all the basics you will need to cover before you start to develop and roll out your campaign. Some of the key things you'll need to understand is the process by which the elections are being run. This includes making sure you have a note of all the key dates and have completed all of the documents you'll need to submit. All of this is outlined in the elections pack, which you can find on our website. You also need to make sure that you're adhering to the rules and regs, so make sure you find out when you're allowed to start campaigning and when voting will open and close. You can then use this to plan out your campaigning timetable. Remember, if you're ever in any doubt, you should contact the Deputy Returning Officer for more information. The essence of your campaign is communicating to students why you are standing for election. This is captured in your manifesto document and spells out what it is you would seek to do for students if you are elected. It's essential you have your manifesto fully developed and finalised before you hit the campaign trail. You can find a helpful video guide to writing your manifesto on our website. Be sure to take the time to remind yourself of why you are running and reread your manifesto. This will help you talk with enthusiasm when speaking to voters, and this will help motivate them to want to vote for you. Just as important as thinking about why you are running is to remember what your key policies or aims are. These should be what you put into your manifesto and should appear on posters and leaflets and will help form talking points when you're out on the campaign trail talking to students on campus. A good number to aim for is 3 or 4 that you think are A, the most important, and B, most appealing to students. The more original or creative these are, the more you'll set yourself apart from the other candidates, and therefore your campaign will be more memorable. Once you've mapped out the basics, it's now time to start getting creative with your campaign. Many students decide that they want to have a slogan that students can remember them by. Think about slogans used by political parties and political figures, such as Obama's 2008 "Yes We Can." This was effective as it made a clear link to what people wanted and was simple enough to be repeated time and again. Another popular choice is to link your slogan to your name, which will help with recognition when students vote. If you think hard enough, almost any name can be made into a slogan. For example, "Vote Rob, he's the one for the job," or "Let's go with Awo." Many candidates also choose a campaign theme that is linked to something they think will appeal to students. Student union elections over the past few years have seen everything from Harry Potter themed election campaigns to funny puns involving people's names, to more serious themes based around a specific policy or idea. Whether you're running as a candidate team or slate, or running as an individual, having a theme which runs across your campaign can help make students remember you but also communicate your key messages. Now you've settled on your key messages and come up with the design and look of your campaign, it's time to start producing materials you will use during your campaigning to help you get your message across to students. When it comes to posters, the first thing you should think about is the design. Make it eye-catching and distinct. Look at ideas from famous advertising campaigns, magazines and television for some inspiration. During the campaign week, there will be posters all around campus, and because of this, it's very easy for students to miss them. This is called poster blindness. So it's really important to try and make yours stand out, either using comedy, colour, shape or size. Your poster should have your name, a photo, your key policies, details of how to vote and any slogans you're using on them. You need to think about where you put your posters up to have the maximum impact on students. Banners can be very effective for placing outside and attaching to railings and lampposts. They're highly visible, and you can get creative with how they look and what they are made out of. Make sure you include who you are and what position you are voting for. Put these in prominent spots to get as much attention as possible. I would encourage you to make sure you use sustainable materials when creating your banners, such as cardboard. T-shirts are an excellent way of having your supporters promote your campaign even when they are not actually out campaigning, and they will make your campaign easily identifiable. A cheap way to do this is to buy plain t-shirts and iron on transfer paper, or go freestyle and either tie-dye or handwrite onto your t-shirts. Making a video can be a great way of interacting with students who don't go onto campus very often or who wouldn't read a leaflet. You can make your video serious with you talking about your policies, or you can make a spoof video that you think will appeal to students or maybe go viral. Previously, students have chosen to act out scenes from films, sing songs or change words of rap songs to make them relevant to their campaign. Now you have your campaign ready to go, it's time to roll it out and deliver it. Next we'll look at how and where to use your campaign. One of the most important elements of any campaign success is to have a good group of campaigners who will help you put up posters and generally spread the word about your campaign. This way you can make sure your campaign reaches as much of campus as possible. Make sure you take the time to tell your campaign team exactly why you're running, what you aim to do, and why students should vote for you. Keep it positive and focused on you and your campaign. This can help your campaign team when they are talking to students about why they should vote for you. Ask people who you know so they can talk about how great a person you are. And make sure you use your team effectively and that you've spread them across the week and across campus. Draft and write up a timetable prior to the start of elections for you and your campaign team. This gives everyone an idea of what they should be doing and ensures that the key places and busy areas of campus are covered. When talking to students, try and be brief and to the point, but make sure you tell them something they will remember. Imagine you are in an elevator and have the time it takes to go from the ground floor of the Union to the third floor to capture their interest and get their vote. A good icebreaker is to introduce yourself and ask them a couple of questions before you start to talk about yourself and your ideas. Make sure you focus on the changes you are proposing that are relevant to them. And keep it positive. Students will be more engaged by positive messages than negative ones. Sometimes it may feel like students aren't interested in talking to you or care about your campaign, but you can overcome this by showing them how important your campaign is to them. An effective way of doing this is by using the apathy staircase when talking to students and lead them to understanding how you can change things and how you could help. Here, you start by asking a student about their experiences of something related to your campaign and how they have been affected. Make them aware that their experience may not be unique and is shared by other students, and that there are ways this could change. Demonstrate that it is possible for this experience to change and how it could benefit them. Lastly, talk about what you're going to do to make this change happen and how they can help you, which to start with is by voting for you. Doing lecture shout-outs are an extremely important part of campaigning. For a minute or two, you have access to up to potentially hundreds of students, all in one place, ready to listen to you. Like quite a lot of aspects of running an election campaign, It can seem very daunting to walk into a huge lecture theatre of unfamiliar faces. So start by practicing on your own lectures, where you'll know some of the students there. Try and arrive at least 15 minutes before the start in order to ask permission from the lecturer, and try to keep your pitch down to a minute. Audience participation is great when it works, but it can be tricky at early morning lectures, so take the time to think about what time of day you're going to do your lecture shout out. Technology now means that students can use their phones, computers, iPads, tablets to engage with and vote in the election. Using media to raise awareness of your campaign can be effective and have the potential to reach lots of students if it goes viral. Make sure the media you produce talks about your campaign and includes key messages as well as a call to action to vote for you. However, it's important not just to rely on media and technology to win the election. They play a part, but the most effective way is being out on campus and talking to students. When it comes to where to campaign, make sure you are based in high footfall areas of campus and are there at peak times. Being in busy buildings in and around the lunch period is usually a pretty good bet. The union can provide information on this to help you plan and make sure you cover as much of campus across the week as possible. The union will have a series of election stalls encouraging students to vote in the election. These will be based both in the union and across campus. Make sure you know where we'll be and when, and make sure you're around to speak to students interested in the election and encourage them to vote for you. Halls are a fantastic place to campaign in the evenings once campus has gone quiet and students have left for the day. But be mindful that these are students' homes, so make sure you are polite and ask permission of hall staff before campaigning. In the run-up to elections, many candidates will choose to attend student events to try and gain support from the society and its members in order to get their endorsement. Societies don't usually mind this, however, you should speak to the committees prior to going to the event to check it's okay to come in that capacity. Campaigning during nighttime events can be effective at raising the profile of your campaign, but be careful not to annoy students who may be taking a break from their studies. And remember, too many late nights will negatively affect your campaign the next day. And don't forget to check out our sports facilities. Familiarise yourself with which sports teams are playing on Wednesday afternoons and go along to speak to students who are there watching. Lastly, we'll look at our top do's and don'ts. Do go out and talk to students on campus. This is by far and away the most effective method of getting students to vote for you. Make sure you plan your time and think about where and when you're going to be across voting week. Be aware that students can get tired of constant electioneering, so think of different, creative, fun, positive and engaging ways of campaigning to them and getting them to vote for you. Be ready to sum up why someone should vote for you in 30 seconds, and make sure you have a clear and consistent message across your campaigning. Remember to eat and take breaks regularly, and this should also apply to your campaign team. And be ready to go when campaigning starts, and keep some of your best ideas for campaigning secret until the campaigning really kicks in. And make sure you take lots of photos to remember the campaign that you've run. Don't let the thought of not getting elected hold you back from running the most positive, fun, exciting campaign that you can. Don't spend too much money, especially not on sweets. Don't go overboard with your publicity and print lots of unnecessary posters and flyers. Think about sustainability through all of your campaigning. Don't be negative about other candidates. Students respond far better to positive campaigning messages than negative ones. Don't promise things you can't deliver to get students to vote for you. And be respectful of campus and make sure you don't litter. Remember, the way candidates conduct themselves during a campaign affects the perception of the union and students around campus. Lastly, remember to have fun. Election campaigns can be tiring and stressful, but they are also lots of fun, where you'll get to meet and talk to lots of people you would never have met before, and get to have loads of interesting and engaging conversations. So that's our top tips to running an effective campaign. If you want to find out more or have a question, contact the elections team on s.u.elections@mmu.ac.uk. You can also check out the Elections Hub for more information. Thanks for watching, and good luck!